Hi lovelies, this is Fancy Stitches and welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to take you guys on simple way beginners friendly tutorial on how to cut and sew 6-piece skirt with cord, how to attach your cord perfectly manually to your 6-piece skirt. And if you're interested in learning how to make this beautiful skirt, then keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on your notification bell for more of my videos. So guys, let's get into it. So guys, to cut my 6-piece skirt, the first thing that I'll cut here is my center front. And to cut my center front, I'm going to fold my fabric like this into two. And I folded my fabric like this because of my pattern. I don't want it to be scattered and rough. I want it to be accordingly. So I folded my pattern, my fabric like this to cut out the center front, and unfold like this is about 12 inches unfold for my center front. That is what I will be cutting now. Then I'll place my tape from her waistline to her hip is 9 inches. I'll mark my 9 inches. To her knee line is 18 inches. Then I'm going to draw a straight line. So this is her hip line and her knee line. Then for the center front, I'm going to use the bust span measurement, which is her bust span measurement is 8 inches, and 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So coming to my waistline, I'm going to mark my 4 inches at my waistline. Then at the hip line, I'm going to make use of 4.5 inches because I want it to have a little fish curve at the hip line. So I'll go ahead and mark my 4.5 inches. Down to the knee line, I supposed to use 3.5 inches, but because she's an elderly woman, I'll be using 4 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my 4 inches. And after that, I'm going to connect the lines together. So from my knee line, I'm going to connect it down to my 11 inches. Remember that for the down flare of my center front, I'll be using 11 inches for the down flare. So I'll go ahead now and mark my 11 inches, and also going to connect my knee line point to my 11 inches. Then the next thing is to cut out my center front. Okay, so I'm done with cutting of my center front. Then, still leaving my center front like this, I'm going to cut the both sides, the sides of my center front. So I'm going to keep this out and fold my fabric into two again like this. I went ahead to fold my fabric, and here this side I gave about 8 inches allowance. As you can see, I've already arranged my center front at my fabric to cut out the center, to cut out my center sides. So here I gave about 8 inches allowance here. Then here what I'm going to do here is to mark my body measurement for the center sides. I'm going to mark my body measurement. So at the waistline, her waist circumference is 39 inches divided by 4 will give me 9.8 inches. 9.8 inches because I used her bust palm measurement to cut out my center front. I'm going to subtract that 4 inches from my center front from here. This my center front. I'm going to subtract my center front, which is the bust palm that I used. I'm going to place my tape. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. This is where my center front is. So I'm going, instead of me to make my measurements like this, I'm going to subtract 4 inches to mark my 9.8 inches, which is here, and add extra 2 inches allowance to my waistline. So you can see that even if I traced this part, because I'm going to trace this part, if I add it up, if I add up my center front, you will see that it will also align together. So I'll also take my horizontal measurement, which is my waist to the hip is 9 inches, and from waist to her knee line is 18 inches. So her hip circumference, which is 45 inches, divided by 4 will give me 11.2 inches. So I'll subtract the bust palm that I used at the hip, which is 4.5 inches. I'm going to subtract my 4.5 inches and take my 11.2 inches measurement here. Then add extra 2 inches allowance. Then I will do the same for the knee line. I will use my hip circumference, and my hip circumference divided by 4 will give me 11.2 inches. So I'm going to subtract the bust palm that I used for the knee line, which is 4 inches, to mark my 11.2 inches here. Then I'm going to also use my 2 inches allowance. Okay, I'm going to use 1.5 inch for my knee line, which is here. Then I'm going to connect the 3 points together. You can see that. Then from here I'm going to connect it down to the tip of my material. Then I'm going to go ahead to trace my center front, just to trace it down, and the next thing is to cut it out. So here I can as well remove my center front. So guys, this is for the side, and also remember that this side is the hip side. So I'm going to label it H. This is the hip side, so I'm going to label it H. So to know whether your measurements are correct, what you do here is place your tape like this. You can see 9.2 inches. Then this is the extra 2 inches allowance that we added, both the hemming allowance. So this is all for the front part. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut out the back using the same method. To cut out the center back, I went ahead to use my center front, arrange my center front on top of my material, and gave about 5 inches allowance. Then using that 5 inches, I used about 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. Then the zipper allowance, I marked my 1.5 inches down to my hip line, and to the knee line I used 1 inch for the zipper allowance at the knee line, which the zipper won't reach the knee line, but I used 1 inch. That is the reason why I used 1 inch. Okay, then from my knee line I'm going to connect it down to the edge. Okay, I've already used my finger to illustrate that, so I'm going to connect it down to the edge. And the next thing here is to cut it out. For the side of my center back, I'll be using the sides of my center front to cut out the sides of my center back. So I'll go ahead to use my center, to use the side of my center front to cut out the side of my center back, and that will be all on how to cut 6-piece skirt, beginners friendly. If this video is something that interests you, kindly hit on the subscription button, subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell for more of my videos, like, comment and share. Thank you guys, I really appreciate. So to cut out the lining for my 6-piece skirt, because it's going to be a full lining, this is how I folded my lining and placed my 6 pieces on top of it, just not to waste a lot of my lining material. Okay, so this is how I place it, and I'm as well cutting it out. All right, this is just a beginner's tutorial. All right, so guys, I went ahead to iron my bias, which I will be used to sew my cord. And this is my cord, this is my bias, and this is my cord. And to attach my cord to my bias, this is how I'm going to attach it. You can see I tied the mouth of my cord, and this is how I'm going to fold it. And after that, I'm going to sew it manually with my butterfly sewing machine. So this is how it's going to be. So I'll get my fabric now. This is how I'm going to be attaching it, my cord, to the fabric. You arrange it this way and insert it just the way I'm doing it now. All right, you guys can see what I'm doing. Just insert it. All right, make sure you insert it very well. Okay, you have to calm down and do this. All right, so I'm done arranging my cord on my material, and I place it very well on my sewing machine. So guys, this is how to sew your 6-piece skirt with cord. Okay, as you can see, I'm sewing my 6-piece skirt with cord all together manually with my butterfly sewing machine. Okay, so this is how to do it. All right, so guys, after attaching my cord, I discovered that there is some excesses here, so I used my chalk to trace out and trim out the excess here. Okay, so if you are doing yours, if you discover some excesses, make sure you trim it out in the way that is not going to affect your what you are sewing. All right, so this is for my cord. I'm done with attaching the first cord. Okay, this is the center front and this is the side. Then I'm going to attach the other one here, but I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so guys, here I've gone ahead to fix my zipper, my lining, and both my cord to my 6-piece skirt. This is the finishing part of my 6-piece skirt. This is the inner view and also the outer view. Okay, I'm turning it out now to show you the outer view of my 6-piece skirt. All right, this is the final result of what I have. Finally guys, this is my end result. This is how to sew 6-piece skirt manually with cord, manually with your sewing machine, butterfly machine. And if you love what you are seeing, kindly hit on the subscription button, subscribe to my channel, turn on your notification bell for more of my videos, like, comment and share. So guys, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate. Thank you.